Welcome to the Clear Table, where we talk transparently about relationships. Today, we're going to talk about friendship.
Today, our guest is Sharon Cunningham. Sharon Cunningham is an entrepreneur, an author, and a friend. And she has written a book called 8 Days to Live, My Journey to Commit Suicide. So first, Sharon.
Yes.
Really good book.
Thank you.
I loved it. Even though it's a book about suicide, or that's the journey to, it gives real life, everyday stories. And it really talks about friendship. Can you kind of tell us your understanding and interpretation of friendship?
Well, friendship for me is being loyal to that person. I don't throw the name friendship around loosely, because a friend to me is somebody that I have their back. They're my ride or die. There's somebody that I expect to be there for me because I'm always there for someone else. So let me go back a little bit. I was about 7 or 8. I've always loved writing. I've always had imagination. I would gather my friends around at 7, 8 years old, tell them ghost stories. So my mom thought I was going to write a ghost story. My first book would be a ghost story. That didn't happen. So that was fine. But I asked my father for a typewriter when I was about 8. And he said, "Oh, that's an odd gift for an 8-year-old to want a typewriter." So I got one. And when I set it on my floor, I remember I had the paper in there. And I laughed. I just started cracking up. I don't even know how to use this thing, but I wanted it. And it's here. I heard an inner voice. And I knew it was God or an angel. I heard, "You will write a book when you get older." And I said to myself, well, what would the story be about? It's going to be surrounded about around 4 friends. But the topic is too heavy to discuss right now.
That's what they told you at
8 years old.
8 years old.
Okay.
And I remembered letting that just sink in. And I was just like, this feels so real. So I paid attention throughout my whole life, right? How is it going to play out? When Waiting to Exhale came out, I thought maybe I just had a vision of someone else's story, previous story.
Is this my story?
Yeah, I said, oh man, I missed it.
Okay, I get that.
Right. So years later, fast forward, I had this urge to just start reading books. And then after about the 10th book, and I was putting it on my bookshelf, I heard the voice again. It's time to write your book. So I was kind of cautious. About 12:30 in the morning, I get in my bed and I'm looking at the ceiling fan spinning around. I said, okay, God, if you're telling me a story, it's time to write my story. Give me a story to write about. So I'm sitting on the bed and I literally saw the story from beginning to end.
At that moment?
At that moment, it played out like a movie. And tears started streaming down my face. And I felt it in my gut. This is it. The next day I started pecking away. By that time, I knew how to work a laptop.
I was say by this time, you were probably using a computer or a laptop.
Yes. So we advanced beyond that kid.
So even in that vision, I want to see when you're looking at the ceiling fan, because the book, like I said, it talks about a lot, especially the friendship. It talks about addiction.
Yes.
It plays a lot of things. But even at that moment, did you understand that the character will be dealing with suicide?
Yes. So when you get into the book, she is going to write her friends a letter.
Yes.
Okay. So when she writes that letter, that's what I saw. And I knew that she was, going to plan her death. And that was the story. That's what it's surrounded by, taking each day and planning it. She's meticulous. She's that type of person who has everything in order. And she wants to see herself out, her way out with everything organized. So I knew what it was about. I knew how it was going to end. I didn't know the intricate parts, like the details in between that came to me. It's fun to write because it's like you're actually literally, of course, creating.
Yeah.
But I'm following the story like, oh, this happened? Oh, really? And so I'm just typing away the in-between lines. But yeah, I knew the character, I felt her. I knew that she was struggling with something.
Nice. But also with that, I read something about Brad and Ashley that I kind of thought was a situationship. And when I say a situationship, because they were just mutual friends, male, female. But now Ashley was starting to think that maybe I could be more and I wanted more, but she never really communicated that.
Well, there was a reason
beginning.
that those thoughts formed for Ashley, though, too. So they both played a part in it, but I'll let you.
But you're right. Both of them, that's the thing about it. I was going to say, if you speak your truth, you have to speak up. You can't hold back. Whether you're trying to save somebody from a situation, you want to speak your truth. That's huge
during
for
the
me.
whole time of the relationship.
The whole time.
Because that's what I think that they miss the boat at.
Mm-hmm. And they assume the other person should know what's going on, the emotions change, or how you're feeling, and trying to gauge themselves and compare themselves to something. And then you find out, oh, your friend didn't even know you felt this way, or, you just, you're not on the same page, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And every time you turn or you feel or you think something different, you need to communicate it openly. And I mean, and that's male, female, female, male, male.
Exactly.
You need to always be open and communicate.
But again, it takes a level of trust, right? And you have to be able to be vulnerable enough to do that, because as we see in the book, once Ashley starts to have these feelings, that's a big thing. It happens in, relationships with friends in real life. And you're like, do I say something? Do I admit that my feelings have changed? Because there's a risk. There's a feeling of, am I going to lose this friendship? And that's where Ashley was.
Exactly.
She was feeling like, I now realize that I would like to take this relationship to the next level, romantically maybe, but I'm afraid to say something. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, she never saw the guy, her friend, as anything more than that. It was strictly platonic. They would go out together, do the things you would do if you were dating. But it's something shifted in her. She saw, actually what happened, she saw him through other people's eyes.
But you said something key. You said they were friends. Their relationship was platonic. You said, but they would do the things you would do if you were dating.
Yes. So in her mind, she thought she was good with it, but then she thought, okay, we invested a lot of time in this. Maybe we can be more. It's like she's looking at him.
Where did she say that at?
She said it in her mind. Yes.
She never had the conversation.
Yes.
And people do that.
Yes.
They change the relationships, the dynamics of the relationship, the friendship, the friends with benefits, all of this without having a conversation about it.
Yes. And sometimes even if you have a friend with benefits and you're sexually active and then you want more out of the relationship, you want to take it further, like going down the aisle or something, and they're not ready. They said, I didn't sign up for this.
Right. I think that's the key. I think it's more so based on, you talked earlier about Ashley knowing her different friendships, right? And the way that she navigates these different friendships. And I think that's true of all of us. We know how to navigate. We learn over time how to navigate the different relationships that we have in our lives. And so we know how this person may receive something versus this other friend. So we also know how to deliver.
And what's interesting? I mean, some people take it for granted, but when we're born, we didn't just come here to be by ourselves. We had to have a relationship with everything. Right. People, places, things, and animals, all those experiences. And some people will isolate themselves. Ashley went back and she went and isolated herself from the world, feeling like she'll be protected. But she's missing the blessing of interacting with people, speaking your truth, sharing ideas, telling them how you really feel about the person and how you want them to play a part in your life.
Interesting. Now, you are doing or writing now. What is the new book about?
So I work, I'm a Reiki master teacher as a form of healing, hands-on approach, and I deal with healing products and whatnot. But I knew I had a gift for healing, even the insight to hear voices that guided me. This book is about connecting the dots and doing a balancing act between the spiritual realm and the earthly realm, so we can get it right within ourselves, so we can be better people to other people and other things on our planet. So actually, when I look back, and it was funny when I was writing it, like I said, you don't know what's going to happen until you're touching the keyboard. But I found that this is what Ashley needed, some guidance.
So it's full circle.
It's full circle. So I love the way. Spiritual guidance. So it's helping her find that balance and peace within herself so she can go out and be a better person. But that's what this second book is about. It's about working on you, doing internal work, because you can't like they say, put an oxygen mask on yourself first,
Right.
not the person with you. So this is about something similar. Work on you, and then you can be a better version of yourself through other people and extend that, your gifts, your talents.
Because again, at the core, Ashley, it was really about her relationship with herself.
Exactly.
And those other relationships were just impacted by the relationship for herself. And so we're excited. We're looking forward to the new book so that we can all learn some tips on the things that we should be doing to help ourselves and to help the people around you. Thank you for being our guest today. We enjoyed you. And until next time on the Clear Table, God bless.